Wrestling Podcast. Turn up the bass. A podcast discussing all things AEW and WWE. Oh yeah! Let's meet the hosts. First, a man hailing from the hub city in Indiana. He goes by @TooSweetKyle on Twitter. The host, Kyle Gagliardi. Enter co-host, hailing from the valley of Lake Tahoe. He goes by @JimTuck89 on Twitter. Jim Tucker. And last but not least, hailing from the cornfield somewhere in Indiana, the full-time part-timer, Ian Garavaglia. Turn up the bass. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram @PodOnTheMark.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I'm your host, Mr. OTM, Kyle Gagliardi. And joining me this evening is my good friend, Ian Garavaglia, the full-time part-timer. Ian, what's up, dog?
What's up, dog? Pre-show, I had a little accident, had a little whoopsie. Tried to open my American Revolution IPA, which I know our guest later on will enjoy that shout out. He's not here probably, but I know he would if he did know. But tried to open that bad boy. It was nice and fresh. I mean, it was sitting in my fridge for about 3 days or so. Cracked it open and goes poosh. And now my knee is soaked and cold. So we're here.
Premature Ian over here. That's a tough start. But hey, at least the beer's cold, right? That's all that matters.
It's cold. I can confirm.
And you talked about it. The guest that we are going to have on later, Steve from Pro Wrestling Ventures, will be joining us around 7:45 Central Time for our friends that are on the East Coast. That's 8:45 if you don't know how to convert time here in the States. But we're very much looking forward to chatting with him. We've had him on the show before. You're probably familiar with the name Warrior Wrestling. They recently rebranded to Pro Wrestling Ventures. And I believe this is maybe the first, if not the second show they are doing under this new moniker, correct?
This is the second. And
that's right.
Yeah. Which I'm sure Steve will have a lot to add. And also for the audio listeners, if you are just here for the Steve interview, completely fine if you skip over us. Obviously, would like you to stick around.
Yeah,
but we have about 45-minute mark, somewhere around there. You'll find the Steve interview. We'll try it. I'll try to remember to remind Gags to put a mark. We'll see.
Oh, I've been putting marks on our YouTube videos.
Okay,
so
good.
I've been time-stamping things. So that's a little thing for you audio listeners as well, because we actually have been getting a lot of downloads lately on audio, which is the old-fashioned way of OTM. That's how we used to.
And we still love you. We still love you.
Yeah. You guys matter as well. I know you guys got busy lives. You all can't tune in every single Thursday like the chat right now, who is popping large as we got Bill Moss. Hot Sauce Bill Moss has returned. We missed him last week. It's good to see him back in the chat. And look at this one. Finally, Tim Vicious has entered the chat. We haven't seen that name in a while, Ian.
No, not in this group chat, in this live stream. So, yeah, welcome back, Tim.
It's good. Definitely good to see him. And, of course, the Great Brown Hope. We out here. We're always out here. You know, Great Brown Hope doing some great things over at the Main Event Wrestling now.
Happy belated birthday.
Yeah, happy belated to him as well. And we are doing some fun things over at the network right now. This podcast being a part of it, of course. At mainevent_net is where you're going to be able to follow us on all of the socials. And if you're ever interested in joining and creating some content, of course, you can reach out to any one of us. And Ian, where would people go if they were interested in supporting the show and maybe wearing this brand new OTF&M shirt? I think it's available somewhere, right?
Well, yeah, that's where you just go to onthemarkwrestlingpodcast.com, and you could pick up any merch that you would like. We have the OTF&M that you are wearing currently, if you would like to show that off. I just got that like a month ago, and I have not had the chance to wear it on stream, so I'm very excited to do that. Also, I just want to point out we need more cutoff designs because I'm starting to get into tank tops a little bit. Also, I said about 3 months ago, I would love a Poppin' Large design, but I have been too lazy to do that. So maybe we could get Old Tucky on the keys.
Listen, we're all busy. Tuck's a dad. He's a coach. He's a teacher. You just moved to a completely different city and started a new job. And I just got a brand new car. So, OTM's just doing things outside of wrestling right now that is really taking a lot of our time. But we still are here. We're live every single Thursday at 7 o'clock. And like Ian said, if you want to support us, a good way of doing so is getting some merch. I know it's getting cold outside. We got beanies available at the onthemarkwrestlingpodcast.com. I believe mine is right here hanging out behind me.
Mine's in the closet over there somewhere.
Oh, you're in the closet?
No, my hat is in.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, totally was confused on that one. But it's okay if you were. It's definitely okay if you were. But hey, Ian, we had a lot of wrestling that happened this week, and we got a guest coming in later. So what do you say we just get right into things?
Well, I wouldn't hold your horses a little bit. We have one shout out that we got to give in the comments section. We have, hey, it's Dirk Vogus. Good evening. Dirk, that's a great name.
It really is.
Anybody named Dirk sounds like a stand-up individual.
What a name, right? Dirk Van Fleet.
I love you, Dirk.
Yeah. How could I forget? I also did forget about something, so it's a good thing you reminded me that Dirk Vogus is in the house. As you can see directly above Ian, there is a QR code there. If you scan that QR code the next time you are interested at purchasing something at the WWE shop, scan that code right there, because a little bit of that goes back to the production of this podcast. So by going to the WWE shop, getting some of their merch, Christmas is right around the corner. I know you guys are going to be Christmas shopping. So when you do, all we ask, just scan the QR code. It's that easy. All you have to do. So that's one of the many ways that you could support OTM, and make sure you're following us, of course, on all the socials.
Uh-oh. I think we lost him. Oh, there we go. He's back. You're good.
Is there anything else that I missed?
I'm not sure. You cut off for me, but you are back now. I think you are good.
Oh, all right. I always got to cut out once an episode.
We got it done early. That's good.
Yeah. Well, if you see me freezing when Steve's in here,
Oh, boy.
hit the hot tag, Ian. You can do it. You've been podcasting now for what? How many years has it been? You're not a part-timer.
Actually, I think 3 or 4. It was beginning of COVID. Yeah, it's beginning of COVID.
You're a vet.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah. I'm
Isn't it
in there.
cool? Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
cool.
Yeah, all my friends think I'm pretty cool.
Yeah, we talk about wrestling every single week on a podcast. That's what everybody wants to hear. The Great Brown Hope, I'm bald by choice because I'm down with my bald brothers. Hell yeah, brother. I didn't know that the Great Brown Hope was bald. That's breaking news to me. But I do know Tim Vicious is bald, and bald is beautiful. I have to agree with that.
Us people with hair are getting outbalded during the stream. I just realized that.
Notice how it's all wrestling fans that are bald. Is there a coincidence? I think not. But hey, let's start with AEW. How's that sound? I think you were watching AEW live, correct?
Correct. Yes, I was.
Any NXT live, or you were just one screen last night?
One screen. I can't. It's really hard for me to get behind 2 streams at a time, especially wrestling, because I like to hear. I can't put one on silent because I don't even think I'm getting the full experience anyway. So I'll just end up watching it back later on.
Well, I feel like you miss stories being told too.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
why I didn't watch AEW Dynamite live last night, because not only did I have NXT on, it was IU's opening night for basketball, so I had that on my laptop. So if I were to throw a third string or third TV into the mix, no chance.
How did IU do, by the way? I didn't see.
We won. We won
Okay.
by 19.
Okay.
It wasn't great by any means, but hey, first game of the season.
And that was our college basketball talk.
Yeah, we're a football school now, guys. Everybody knows that. But yeah, let's pivot on over then and start with AEW Dynamite last night. Obviously, everybody knows they went head-to-head. And if you're one of those people that is actively tweeting back at AEW or WWE, no, I'm watching this, I'm watching that, don't watch this podcast because you're not my kind of people. I think Ian would agree with me, actually, on that statement.
Yeah, I definitely would, because you are not adding anything to the industry. You're just making yourself look like a clown. Thank you for coming.
Tribalism, not up in here. That's how we are over here.
We need some tribalism, anti-tribalism shirt. We got to think of something. That could be a good one.
You know what? I'll create new merch if people buy the merch. The merch has kind of
I'd buy it.
Plateaued a little bit. But first thing I do want to talk about from Dynamite was that opening segment. We got to see the Hurt Business all together with Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin. Sorry, the Hurt Syndicate. I got to get used to saying that. Hurt Syndicate. Obviously, it's a play off of the Hurt Business in the WWE, but we did find out of this segment that we are going to be getting Swerve versus Lashley at Full Gear, which obviously we are very excited for. But before we get into that match itself, Ian, how do you feel about the overall presentation of the Hurt Syndicate so far in AEW?
I haven't been this... Like, I don't know, it probably does have a lot to do with the coming over from WWE side. But even then, I think even if you bring that case into it with the former WWE to AEW transitional guys that have moved over, this is the first time I have been like, oh my gosh, they are nailing it right away. Because they didn't change anything. Everybody knew how good this could be if it was booked correctly. And they have booked Shelton Benjamin to look like a stud and a megastar already. I love Shelton Benjamin, and I'm not going to lie. Before AEW, I didn't really care for him at all. I knew he was good. I respected him. But now he's able to show his skills in the ring against new competitors mainly. So it's really awesome to see. And we haven't even seen Lashley at all. I mean, we've seen him 2 times on our screen. He hasn't said a word. He hasn't done anything besides hit a couple moves on Swerve, knock him down, and now we got a match of Full Gear, which I'm kind of upset about. I wish they kind of would have...
Do you think they
milk that till next week? No, not necessarily. I just think it could have been a week. If they would have let it be maybe Shelton Benjamin versus Swerve again, and maybe we'll do that in Full Gear. It's just you have one whole giant episode of Dynamite next week. Now it doesn't really mean much when they do meet next week because you already know where it's going to go or where it's going to happen is at Full Gear.
Well, maybe next week will be used for more heat. I mean, we could always get more heat going into a match.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to take a lot, though. I mean, it's just weird because it's a weird situation because it's Swerve against 2 behemoths. Well, you're supposed to boo.
I know, but like he's the new kid on the block. Everybody's going to want Bobby Lashley to win. At least I think.
Which I think is okay because I think it kind of builds to that we want Swerve in the Hurt Syndicate. So even if you are cheering for Bobby, it makes that situation of Swerve should jump ship over to the other side that much more enticing, if that makes any sense.
A little bit. I kind of see where you're going. Great Brown Hope says Shelton Benjamin has been grinding for decades. He deserves a world title run. He still owns victories over Mr. H's. Oh, I did not know that. That was probably about a decade ago, though. So I don't think that's going to translate over here into AEW, but... I don't know if he deserves a world title run, but I can't say I would be against seeing it.
No, if he keeps up this momentum and the booking is as good as it's been, it kind of makes it a little weird now because it looks... You're supposed to, on paper, think that Bobby Lashley is the bigger star than Shelton Benjamin. On paper. But at this point, AEW fans are... I mean, the crowd reaction last night when Shelton Benjamin came out, huge pop. People love him.
Yeah.
I think it was when MVP talked about who his 2 prodigies were. It was not prodigies, or however he named it, acquisitions. When he named out Shelton Benjamin's accolades, the crowd was hot. They loved him. Bobby Lashley, he got his a little bit, but you could obviously tell that AEW fans are starting to like Shelton more than Bobby, which I think might be the opposite of what they were trying to do with bringing Bobby Lashley in later as the bigger star to really cement this as a big team, which they did. I wonder if Tony's vision going into this was making Bobby the single star, because at this rate, Shelton's the single star, but obviously Bobby's just gotten here.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that probably most people are viewing Shelton Benjamin as the underdog just because he hasn't accomplished as much as Bobby Lashley did, but I don't think there's going to be like any issues of who's shining brighter than one another. I think they all are pretty well equal in this faction. At least that's how it was presented. I thought, like you said, it's very similar to what the Hurt Business was, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You don't need to get crazy with it. It doesn't need to be completely different from what they were doing over the WWE. And I do get that criticism from some fans because they don't want to see the same things, but we never got to see the full potential of the Hurt Business in the WWE. I think we are definitely going to see the full potential of the Hurt Syndicate in AEW.
And another thing, too, that I absolutely love about this is I've seen the WWE tribalists kind of like shitting on AEW with, oh, they're going to take time away from your normal AEW fans, and I can finally watch now. from your normal AEW wrestlers. The thing is, though, the way they are displaying this is that anybody could join the Hurt Syndicate, which is something you could watch throughout Dynamite because they're sprinkling in segments where it's like either Ricochet. Ricochet's one big, I guess, like prodigy that they are looking after. MVP could talk in the backstage segments, and we're going to talk about another guy, another wrestler that may be joining the Hurt Syndicate, which makes them more of a star because you're watching more. You're more intrigued on what they're trying to tell as a story on TV.
Yeah, I think what they got going here with the Hurt Syndicate is really going to be something special in AEW, and that matchup with Bobby Lashley and Swerve is going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, we will talk about that more in a couple weeks when we get into our Full Gear preview show, and then hopefully also that week of Full Gear or Survivor Series, we will be doing a main event mixer of sorts. So, of course, make sure you're following our friends over at the Main Event Network if you want to keep up with that as well. But Ian, we are on a little bit of a time crunch, so yes. I'm going to move on here to the next thing. And what I do want to talk about is a nice little fun matchup we got here between the Conglomeration and the Learning Tree. Now, I'm not a big fan of either of these factions, Ian. I think you probably knew that, but I think this match definitely served its purpose on the show. It was just going to be that car crash, nonstop fun action. And, you know, getting to see Kyle O'Reilly and Big Bill kind of mix it up on the side and do their own thing was nice as well, because I feel like those two guys really haven't hit their full potential yet with these factions. Yeah,
like you said, I don't really care, especially the Conglomeration. I actually care more about the Learning Tree than I do the Conglomeration, which might be a hot take, but the Conglomeration is just supposed to be the group of random faces thrown together, which that's literally what it's supposed definition. To be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it, but at the same time, I don't really care. They're just going to be the normal stereotypical, like, good guys coming in for the save, like we saw in the show later on. I actually like what they're doing with the Learning Tree now. And again, I know that could be a hot take for some people, but they know it's kind of gotten to the point of a Young Bucks heels where it's just annoying. And people will boo. They're going to get their boos, and that's all they want out of a heel. They just want the audible boos over the TV so that people back home will understand who the heel is. That's what we're trying to go for. So they're doing a successful job at that. Big Bill's looking like a star, and at the end of the match, we had Ishii cover Chris Jericho for the win, and it looks like he's going to be going for that ROH title.
That doesn't interest me one bit.
No.
I can't buy into Ishii. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is. It's just not connecting with me. And Bill says, feels like they're like what you were just saying, right on time. Feels like they're teasing Ishii versus Jericho for Final Battle, which seems less ideal for me. I'd rather it be Jericho versus Briscoe. But at the same time, how many more Jericho-Briscoe matches do we need?
I think the best opportunity out of all of that, if Ishii was not in the question, because that looks like where it's going, again, this might get some shit. The way to get out of this and get the Learning Tree off your television and go to ROH would be by beating Briscoe. Because if you break that segment and I guess it'd be the third match, the tiebreaker match, if Jericho goes over Jay Briscoe clean, Mark Briscoe, sorry. Yeah. If he goes over him clean and takes that title over to ROH, he's going to do his Jericho thing.
He already has the title.
Keeps the title.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know that, right? You know Jericho's the ROH champion. You watched the last pay-per-view.
Yeah,
it's okay. Any other thoughts from this match? I just wanted to touch on it because I actually enjoyed it a little bit more than I thought I was going to.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Served its purpose sure. But another matchup that we have definitely seen before in another company, but we got it on Dynamite, was Adam Cole versus Malachi Black. And the story that they were really telling here, Ian, was the fact that Malachi Black has beaten Adam Cole in every single singles match until this match right here, which to me made a lot of sense. Adam Cole just returned, but overall, how do we feel about this one? And they actually shared a moment after the match, too.
Yeah, it's not worrying me. It's worrying me for AEW. I don't know if that's the last match for Malachi Black in AEW.
I don't think so.
I don't think it is either. I'm pretty optimistic about stuff like that. I think that was genuinely just like a let's make this feel better, because it was, in a respect thing. MJF told him he needed the 3 wins to even get to MJF in the ring. And I think that was kind of like we saw earlier, with Buddy, he got that face turn of shaking hands with him after. Now we have Malachi looking like a face as well. So maybe this is just the next chapter of what the House of Black is going to be, because they're going to get celebrated. People love House of Black no matter what. So I wonder if that's probably where they're going towards. because
didn't even think about that.
It kind of looked like Malachi Black was like, yes, beat me. You've gotten me to this point. I just barely kicked out. Take me out right now. I want you to keep going. That's what it felt like to me. It didn't feel like a I want out of here situation.
No, I didn't get that vibe either. And I think Brody King was even tweeting, oh my God, he was like making fake reports. He's like, there's rumors that Malachi Black's going to travel the world and run a cat show. Like, he's feeding into the rumors. Like, guys, he's not going anywhere. Don't be such a mark. Bill did ask, though, has Jericho even appeared in ROH? Oh, yeah. He has?
The Ocho.
Okay. Well, he was the champion, but did he appear on their actual
I believe so, yeah, because he was on one of their pay-per-views at least. So I don't know if he was on like an ROH television show.
Yeah, I think that's more of the question, but he definitely was on an ROH pay-per-view. Bill said Cole vs. Black was way better than Cole vs. Buddy. They made Cole look weak in his last match. Would you agree with that?
They were supposed to. I think they were supposed to make Cole look weak. It was his last match back, and he was hurt still. That's what they're trying to sell. I get what you're saying, though. I completely understand that, but that was his last match back from injury. But yeah, it's a good point. I liked both matches. I think both of them told a different story.
So where is? I mean, obviously Adam Cole is headed in that direction. We think Malachi Black and the company are going to a face turn, but where does that put the House of Black? I don't know how you book the House of Black as a face faction. It just it's hard for me to,
Shall I remind you about a particular group that's still wrestling right now? Yeah, actually,
Wyatt
pretty
Six?
new faction. Yeah.
Yeah, Wyatt Six. Yeah.
They have basically the same shtick. They could basically do a Shield thing where they just target heels that people just despise and murder them. That's all it's got to be.
You know what? You got me. You sold me. I'm in. All right, let's do it. Give the House of Black a face run. One more thing, though, from AEW Dynamite. We got to talk about that main event. We knew there was going to be a mystery partner for Ricochet in that matchup against Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. And your boy, Powerhouse Hobbs, has returned to AEW. He missed about 6 months of time. Obviously, we know he's formerly with the Don Callis family. Now it seems like he's going to be feuding against the Don Callis family. Talk to me a little bit about how you feel about seeing Powerhouse Hobbs back.
I loved it because it put so many seeds into my brain. Because we saw earlier, we had the segment of the Hurt Syndicate backstage. MVP told Ricochet, I will be watching the main event. And that was all we got. We never even saw their faces during the main event. So we know that they were watching. And another person that was there that I predicted would possibly be a part of this new Hurt Syndicate was Powerhouse Hobbs, because the dude he's got the talent to be the guy later on. I mean, even now I could see him being the guy, and I'm excited to see where it takes him. Now you kind of have another feud to bring him back into the fold, even if he's just like a tag team guy. I just hope the steam doesn't fall off a little bit. I
understand.
I think he's got that talent to keep it going.
Yeah, I was worried about that too. Just the on and off, the injuries don't help. I mean, the return, you're always going to get that pop. He got a good reaction when he came out there. It was a solid main event. Even after the main event, you had the beatdown segment, and then Will Ospreay coming in for the save. So at least the stories are making sense now in AEW. That's what I've noticed, at least in 2024, is that AEW is connecting those dots. And that was one of my big criticisms of watching Dynamite, is that you could turn on a random Dynamite and it's just randomness. You don't know what's happening. You're just getting fantasy matches. You are still kind of getting that in the way, but I do appreciate that there is connected storytelling going on.
I do want to bring up that this actually works perfectly because we have the storyline of Adam Cole right now. He's going to win the 3 matches. Next week, he's got a fantasy matchup with Konosuke Takeshita. He has to win that match, and Konosuke's got the Intercontinental title. I don't think it's for the title. International title. But that makes me very much intrigued because obviously you have it's a fantasy mashup, and you have the intrigue of who's going to win it.
That worries me because Takeshita was the one that took the pinfall this week, and that means he's going to take 2 straight weeks of pinfalls after just winning the title. I feel like it's going to be a great match. So we're going to enjoy it. It's going to be fun, but that's where I kind of would be like, all right, let's put somebody else in that spot instead of Takeshita, because then I think he's just stacking up too many losses. He's got to look like a credible champion. You know?
I see what you mean. Okay,
Like I said, it's going to be a good one, but that's my only gripe about it, is that he's facing a guy that just lost. So 2 straight weeks of losing is not a good look for Takeshita, who's your international champion. But Tim Vicious said, need Hobbs versus Lashley so we can have 2 big, meaty men with big, meaty chests bumping meat.
Can't say it better.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Vicious over here, you said it well. Bill Moss said, I totally forgot Takeshita was the international champion. See, that's my issue, is that sometimes people win the titles and then they're like, okay, now's the time they start losing. It's like, that you don't always have to build up challengers that way, but they have a lot of just paths crossing right now with storylines, it seems. So I guess that's the only option.
Yeah, you just got a lot of faction warfare going, so you kind of almost have to. You build yourself into a corner where you have to cross those lines, but that's just faction warfare.
Yeah, so overall, I thought a solid episode from Dynamite. Nothing too special, but we don't know the ratings or anything like that, but I feel like they were probably put behind the 8 ball with NXT booking that show.
I would imagine.
2300 arena. And like we talked about on my Twitch stream earlier, which, by the way, if you're interested in following me on Twitch, twitch.tv/.
Affiliate.
Too Sweet Kyle. Yeah, I'm at like 18 followers, and I'm trying to get to 25 by the end of the year. So
Road to affiliate. Help them out, boys.
yeah, it's linked into all of my socials. But we're going to move on over to NXT before Steve joins us. And obviously we know that NXT happened from the 2300 arena, the famous ECW arena, and they leaned into the nostalgia. The opening video package was tremendous. I love the callback to ECW there. It was a nice little touch, but it really did start off pretty hot with the very first hardcore match in NXT history, which I was surprised to hear, but I guess it makes sense with it happening here in this venue. And we saw Jada Parker take on Lola Vice in that hardcore match, and it was a pretty good one. Jada Parker hit a teardrop. It's her finisher. Ian, I don't know if you're familiar with it, where she just basically drops her butt onto the corner, and she did it off a ladder and completely snapped that ladder.
I did see that.
And then to start off the match, Lola Vice literally just hit a back fist onto the chair. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be one of those matches where they're just going to hit each other with everything. And Jada Parker goes over. I don't think anybody lost here in this opening match.
No, I do have one issue, though. When I watched back, Lola Vice took a brick to the face and then just kicked out in 2. And I was like, okay. that was kind of a disconnect.
It looked like a bath bomb.
But like, if you're thinking like that's an actual brick, that thing exploded. That was the only thing I was like, okay, that's pretty funny.
Bill said he heard that AEW drew about 500,000. All right, that's not too bad with NXT going on. And that's a good shout, too. Dawn Marie was the special guest referee, and she wasn't an X Factor. And I don't really think she needed to be, just because this was Jada and Lola's blow-off match, I guess you could say. They just needed to prove who was the better woman. But these are 2 women, and I know I talk about the women's division all the time, Ian, in NXT, that I could really see making a big impact on the main roster in a couple years. I know you're not too familiar, but is there any of these ones that you think might shine brighter, Lola Vice or Jada Parker?
I think you need to give Lola Vice some time still. Jada Parker, I think she's got it. I think she's gotten her niche, and she knows what she wants out of it. Yeah. Lola Vice, though, I think she needs some more time, just a little bit. But she's got the enthusiasm. She's got the character development. Just the in-ring stuff is still a little okay. Yeah,
she's a little green. I mean, she's got the looks. She's got the personality. She presents
she's got the
herself
looks.
as a star. They both do. They're both beautiful women. We know Shawn Michaels' Instagram search history. It's got to be a very attractive one. But no, I thought that was a really good start to a really fun show, and it continued when Javon Evans and Wes Lee went one-on-one, and these are 2 of the most electric superstars in NXT right now. We talked about it on the pre-show about Javon Evans and just the rocket that's being attached to his hip, or his back, I should say. He picks up a big win here with the help of RVD. My only complaint is that RVD wasn't involved a little bit more on the show. Like, RVD could still go. Why can't he get involved in this match?
I wonder if... well, no, because they had Bubba do stuff in the ring.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was kind of like we don't want to put ourselves in a corner and say, all right, why don't they go into the ring on the normal main roster? That would be my only idea as why they didn't do anything. RVD didn't do anything. My other idea could be actually, he's probably just a little stoned. I wouldn't be shocked there.
Yeah.
Didn't want to move.
I think he alluded to his weed, of course, when the backstage segment with Kalani Jordan, which was nice. That's kind of how they use the ECW veterans. I mean, Don Marie probably got I guess Bubba got the most shine because he was actually in the match, but Don Marie seemed to do more than RVD. But going back to the match itself, I think Wesley's going to be fine with the loss here because there was shenanigans involved with the finish. It seems like Wesley might be on that trajectory to be into the NXT title scene, but tell me a little bit about how you're feeling about the way that Javon Evans has been presented in NXT.
It's really strange to see a character like Javon Evans be an attraction in the WWE sphere. I mean, NXT, yes, I get it. It's had their characters like that, but the dude is just so insanely talented that the matches that he is in, the other opponent kind of has to match that athleticism just so he doesn't look like he falls behind. I think Wesley did an excellent job. We know he's good. He's even better than
Really
Javon
good.
Evans. Yeah,
he is better at right now. Yeah.
Yes. So it's really intriguing to me because you're getting that kind of, I guess I should, AEW style of wrestling within the WWE atmosphere, which is it's interesting. It's new. I'm excited to see. I was actually thinking about this when I was watching the highlights of the show. It made me kind of think, like, I wonder if Javon Evans one day, 20 years from now or so, if he's still within WWE, what if he's looked at when he gets rise up to the main roster? Maybe he becomes a mainstay. What if he becomes a pioneer for this kind of wrestling within the WWE? Like, I don't know. It's interesting to think about.
He's kind of starting a revolution of sorts with his style. I get what you're saying. It's just uniqueness that he brings, and it's just an electrifying character that we get on TV every single week. And it's crazy because he's only 20 years old. Like, this kid is going to be on our television screens for hopefully another couple decades, barring injury, but I don't want to put that on anyone. Tim Vicious said that NXT did 619, shout out to Rey Mysterio, and AEW did 523. So it was actually a lot closer than I expected. Good night for wrestling then, over 1 million, right?
No, because it should be WWE stomps AEW every single time, so I'm not happy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. Bill Moss had another great match. Javon Evans is absolutely talented. Wesley is my current fave, so I could praise him all day, but I still can't buy him as a heel. And I think that's a fair criticism, just because, and maybe it's just because the only Wesley we've known, Ian, on WWE television is babyface, but I could see how he's not completely sold yet. It's got to be difficult for a guy like Wesley to just turn into that heel, and I don't think it just quite connected with everybody yet.
It's connected with me, so it's kind of hard for me to not see it. Yeah, I could see it. Wesley does a great job at being a dick.
He's stirring up shit.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that after the feud with the Rascals, it was very well cemented that he is good at doing his job, especially how that feud ended. I mean, I guess I could kind of see it because I'm not an NXT lifer. I haven't seen him during his babyface run, so I get it. I get it how I would be the oddball out here.
Zach Wentz had a funny tweet, too, after Wesley took out RVD. He said, jumping RVD, question mark? Yeah, this motherfucker definitely isn't a rascal anymore. And obviously, if you don't know why that's funny, you don't know the Rascals and you don't know RVD. Gray Brown Hope said, Javon is the only one that could be in the Fed longer than Orton. Honestly, he could. He really could.
Wait, when?
But then again, Randy's like 40 something right now, so that would be 30 years in the Fed.
Wasn't Orton 19 or 18?
19. They started the same year, yeah.
Yeah, but Orton played it really smart. He didn't really go full athleticism.
Style.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be an uphill climb.
If he tones it down a little bit, maybe. But we hope the best for both those guys. Orton was 22. Okay, so he wasn't as young as we were.
Well, probably when he debuted. I'm thinking, what was it, OVW back then?
Yeah, I mean, but if we want to talk about when they started wrestling, Javon was probably wrestling since he was 15.
Yeah, that's true.
He probably came out and he was just doing backflips as a baby. Tyler Bate, maybe. Bate came in at 19. Yeah, Tyler Bate. I don't know if he's got the longevity. He hasn't even been on TV in a bit, but he might be injured. I'm not even 100% sure what is going on with him. But yeah, he started young in the WWE as well. But couple more things from NXT before we chat with our good friend Steve. Ridge Holland picked up a pretty big win in that tag team match with Bubba Ray and Ethan Page, pinning the current champion, Trick Williams. And your dad, the podcast dad, a couple weeks ago on the Junkies podcast, called a shot. He said Ridge Holland's probably going to be the next one in line for an NXT title shot. It looks like that is the direction they are headed in. And honestly, as a guy that has been anti-Ridge Holland, I kind of like the way he's been presented recently. Like, he seems like a legitimate heel in NXT.
Yeah, this is kind of, you know how you lean on me during AEW talk? I'm going to have to lean on you with this one because I haven't really seen too much of Ridge Holland.
Yeah.
Was he a part of the Chase U story where he joined?
Yeah.
Okay, I did watch that part. I like the look of that. I liked where that feud ended up going because Ridge Holland can be a star on his own. Obviously, he's been a faction guy or a tag team guy.
Brawling Brutes, yeah.
Yeah, for his whole career. So I like what they're doing with it. I'm hoping the best for him because he's talented. He's obviously got the talent in the ring. So
As long as he keeps working safer because we need to protect the other talent. I will be okay with Ridge Holland being the next challenger. But the match itself wasn't that great. I mean, we really didn't expect much from this, to be honest with you, because he's up there in age. I mean, he could still kind of go. But seeing Devon Dudley come out after the match and, being able to bring out the table, nice little bow on top of that, because you get Ridge Holland, who is now probably your number one contender, and you go home happy. It's as simple as that sometimes, Ian. That's all you really need to do.
Yeah, it really is. They knew what they were going to get out of Bubba being a part of the show, and they got it.
It worked, yeah.
Yep.
You can't complain. Ridge Holland broke Raul Mendoza's hand, and Rey Mysterio did nothing. Rey Mysterio only cares about Rey Mysterio. Great Brown Home never changed, man. Never changed. I appreciate you. Bill Moss, I think Ridge is the right decision. He has the exact fan heat needed to take on a Trick. Yeah, there's legitimately people that hate Ridge Holland because he ended Big E's career. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah.
It's tough, but Great Brown Hope says Ridge Holland reminds me of Rob Terry. I don't know who that is. Do you know who Rob Terry is?
Not sure.
Maybe I'm too young. He's not that much older than me, so I don't want to date the Great Brown Hope. Mysterio is the biggest silent heel in pro wrestling. Wow, they're linking up. We got a tag team in our comment section between the Great Brown Hope and Hot Sauce Bill Moss. Oh, and Rob Terry was in TNA. Robbie T from TNA.
Okay.
I didn't have it on the outline, but Nunzio had a match.
Yeah, that happened.
He didn't look bad.
No, I will say that was the only full match I watched because the full match was able to fit on YouTube. So thank you. Yes, thank you.
2 or 3 minutes?
I think it was like 2:34 or something like that, to be exact. It was very funny, though. The choke slam or whatever it was that slammed to end the match.
It was fun. Yeah.
That was good.
I'm going up. Yeah. I mean, once again, it served its purpose. It was meant to be a nostalgic, feel-good show.
I was going to say, apparently that was a callback to his match against Undertaker back in the day when he did the exact same thing where he crossed his...
Good.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. Also, this name is good. The Brown and Moss connection.
We got back to the drawing boards. We need hot sauce.
Sounds like a stout. Brown Moss.
We need hot sauce.
Hot sauce Brown Moss. That's just one person's name.
Get on it, Great Brown Hope.
Nunzio needed a meatball sandwich. Hey. All right. We got one more thing to talk about with NXT, and it was the massive 10-woman tag match that they were heavily promoting, and they did a hell of a job doing so because even during the show, we got to see that image, the backstage of like the Avengers assembling as each woman stepped up, and then we got the match itself. Man, it's a testament to how strong this women's division really is in NXT because I feel like every single person in this match really got their moment, and I was really impressed with Zarya, who is the one that did end up getting the pinfall over Roxanne Perez, which is also huge because now, Ian, you got Zarya, you got Stephanie Valkyrie, and you got Julia going for that NXT title. The top heavy, it is really top heavy right now in NXT women's division.
Yeah, okay, so I will be honest, I was not able to watch any of this match because they didn't include anything on YouTube. I will watch this after this episode tonight, and I'll give you my honest thoughts within a personal message. But I will say it's kind of intriguing, and I don't know what they are going to do. Like you said, it's a very top-heavy and top-loaded women's roster at the moment. I don't know what they do, because this is putting the main roster on notice, especially in the women's talent. I mean, we talked about it with the tag championship, like that becoming a thing in NXT. But at the same time, how long can you keep each of these women within the WWE NXT? Because it is still a developmental. They have main roster written all over them, and you already have a loaded main roster division on the women's side. So that's going to be a lot of heartbreaking, or maybe, okay, that's fine, let goes of talent, which is going to suck. And I don't know. I'm kind of worried about that because it's loaded right now of veterans in the women's wrestling industry.
Yeah, and kind of like what the Great Brown Hope saying, that women's match felt like a Raw vs. SmackDown Survivor Series match, but it's all the top women from one brand, all future stars. These are scary good times to be a wrestling fan. I couldn't have said it better myself. And he also said that the AEW women's division is really good, or really going to have to step up once these women get called up and added onto the already loaded roster. I think the AEW women's division has stepped up recently.
Yeah, I think they stepped up this year, especially with the booking that the AEW women's roster has had over this entire year. And the addition of Monet has kind of cemented that. I don't think we need it. This is not an AEW versus WWE situation at all. I think it's
wants to make it one. He wants to make it one.
It is Great Brown Hope.
Don't get mad, Ian. It's okay. I agree with Tim, though. He said if NXT still had War Games, that could have been one. Could you imagine this match in a War Games?
That would have been fun.
Just imagine Jordan Grace and Zarya in a War Games. The destruction. and we're gonna talk about Jordan Grace some more. And that's what's crazy is she right now, as we speak, is competing on TNA. She was on NXT last night, and she's going to be on the show that we're going to be talking about here this Sunday in Milwaukee. It's just crazy the impact that she has made on professional wrestling this year.
Good job. Did you mean to do that one?
No, I did not mean to do that. Hell yeah. Look at me, professional podcaster over here. Bill Moss said, I heavily enjoyed that women's main event. Just showed how much depth their roster has. And he agrees with Tim. Would have been perfect for War Games. Yeah, maybe eventually down the line. Who knows? But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed last night's wrestling. And you really can't complain, as it looks like Ian just spilt another beer live on the podcast, which is not great. He has muted his microphone and everything. Oh, guys, well, I don't know what we're going to do with him. I might need a new co-host here soon. But one last comment here I'm going to pull up. Great Brown Hope said, I don't want to make it one. It's just the added element that WWE may have more star power, drawing power for people that tune in to WWE instead of AEW. All right, that's fair enough. Ian, you're still on mute, by the way, just so you know. Did you do it again?
That one was really bad. I don't know if that was caught on camera. I hope somebody got that on camera because it erupted. That was bad. All right.
What are you doing over there?
This is really awkward. I was really trying to drink just a nice, refreshing Revolution Brewery IPA. And I know Steve is listening right now. Did not mean to do that. I genuinely love Revolution Brewery that much. So
we love breweries in general, man. Hey, we're hardworking men. We love a swig of beer after work, and we love wrestling. So it's a perfect combination, some would say, to potentially hold a independent wrestling show. What are you laughing at?
The comment. Ian is still in characters. Ricky LaFleur knocking stuff down everywhere while still holding a hockey stick. Great call.
By the way, guys, if you didn't watch last week's episode, we talked about wrestling, but we also tier-ranked Halloween candy, which is very important. So if you want to go check that out, that is on YouTube, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. But I think it's about time we introduce our very special guest. You have seen him on this show before, and he is our good friend Steve from Pro Wrestling Ventures. Steve, welcome back to OTM. How you doing, my friend?
Hello, gentlemen. Great to see you.
It's great to see you. How you been?
Good. Just, living the life, loving life, getting ready to head up to Milwaukee in a few days and take what we do on the road to Wisconsin. We've talked about going to Wisconsin for years. Obviously, we've done Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, St. Louis, down in Missouri. We've never done Wisconsin. And now we finally are bringing Warrior Wrestling / Pro Wrestling Ventures. Our little game is going up to the north.
I'm very excited for Sunday. You guys got a nice card on hand for us, and hopefully I'll be able to be there in attendance. Still working out a few details here, real life stuff and whatnot, but I love Wisconsin. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan after all, Steve. You know this.
It's true. I forgot. I actually, so even as a Chicagoan, right? Like, obviously, I'm a Bears fan by birth, but I've always loved everything about the Packers, right? The fact that they're owned by the town, they're owned by the people of the town. Lambeau is the Wrigley Field of football, and it's an incredible place. Green Bay itself is just a small town. I mean, it's a mid-sized city. It's not a metropolis, and the way the whole state rallies around and loves the Packers. Like, again, as a Bear fan, you're like, oh, the Packers, but you're kind of like looking over the fence like, that's kind of cool. I wish we had that.
Steve, you're hurting me. We are off. I was already actually. We were doing a live stream earlier. Kyle was playing a little bit of college football, and we already had some people in that audience really cheering on the Packers. As a Bears fan, a fellow Bears fan, and the pain we've been through, it really hurts me to hear another Bears fan starting to give up, and it's not good to see, Steve.
Oh, I gave up a long time ago. Are you kidding me? I'm almost 40, man. I gave up before I could vote. But I think it's important to recognize when another franchise, even a rival, has something special, and I think that's, we were talking a minute ago about, you guys were talking as I was listening in the wings about last night's mini Wednesday war for wrestling. And I think that's important in wrestling too. And it's one of the things that our toxic Twitter culture doesn't do is being able to say, hey, I like X. I'm on this team. But damn, they've got a great point guard. Or damn, that show had a great match. And I think it's really important, just with anything we like, to be able to do that and not get too tribal.
Oh, that's good. That's a good point. All right, I got shut up.
I'm trying, man.
I mean,
all I can offer is peace.
Yeah.
You're the middleman right now, Steve. Literally, the middleman here.
I am.
But hey, I do respect what the Cubs got. I go to Wrigley Field all the time. I like the history, the vibes. Like, the comparison to Green Bay is spot on. So having a show in Milwaukee, which I know Milwaukee well, it is a wrestling city. It also is a city that likes to have fun. And this event will be being taken place at Lakefront Brewery, which I am excited to see how that's going to be set up. And it seems like you guys have a thing for breweries as of late. So if you don't mind telling me, how did this venue come about?
Well, we drunkenly stumbled in from brewery. No. So this has kind of been our game plan this past year, is trying to take the awesomeness that is live pro wrestling and bring it into different unique venues. And so we did Revolution Brewing, as we alluded to earlier, here in Chicago. We did Climb Zone in the late spring for like a cool, fun, family, colorful, crazy atmosphere. And then now we're bringing it up to Lakefront Brewery in Milwaukee. The Lakefront guys actually came to the Revolution Brewing show. And after that show, I talked to them that night, and they're like, all right, we're getting you to Milwaukee. We got to make this work.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so we talked, weeks and months later and got it set up and got it going. But it was that show at Revolution Brewing that they came to see as fans and as friends. And they were like, all right, well, now we need to bring this up by us.
Ooh, I can't wait. Just keep going around the breweries. That's fine with me.
It is literally the perfect fit, right? Because you've got, from a very logistical standpoint, the large breweries with giant tap rooms and barrel rooms have space. They have tons of space. And they have people who want to drink beer and people who want to go to cool events, and wrestling fans want to go to wrestling in a good venue where they can get cool beer and enjoy the vibes and have fun with their friends. And wrestling is interesting, right? It's like a liquid or a gas. It will fit into whatever container you put it in. You can have wrestling in a bar. You can have wrestling in a VFW hall. You can have wrestling in an arena. You can have wrestling in a theater. You have wrestling wherever. Wrestling in a brewery is like the perfect fit. And we really think that we found something special here. And this could be what we do quite a bit of going forward.
Ian, is there anything else before we get into the card you'd like to ask?
Oh, I love the idea because as I made it very clear with my spillage, I love beer and I love wrestling. So it is a perfect blend for me. And I just want to selfishly say Indianapolis breweries are pretty nice down here. Just made a move. So
I'll tell you what, Ian, I looked at a ton of them. I sent out some feelers. If you know of any that have a good deal of space, because that's the other thing, obviously, is we need space for a wrestling show. Text me, email me, call me, have Kyle call me, whatever you need to do. We would love to come back to Indy. We've done Indy once, and we rented like an old hall, and it was a really cool vibe, a really cool venue. The crowd was great. We sold it out. I would love to come to a brewery in Indianapolis.
I'll keep you on the hookup. I'll be touring a lot here, so.
I was going to say, Ian, it sounds like you're going to have to get to work, but it also looks like somebody else from Pro Wrestling Ventures has entered the chat. Jeremy the Ref is in the house, and he said to you, Steve, there's a nice one here in Valparaiso, just saying.
That is true.
Jeremy, send me pictures, buddy. I don't know which one you're talking about. Text me.
What
It's
is
new.
he talking
It's
about,
beautiful.
Ian?
Shoot, what is it called?
Is he talking about Journeyman?
Journeyman? Yeah, bunch of room. It's beautiful too.
Have you
So
heard of
they
Journeyman?
they had a whiskey distillery in Michigan is how they started. And they've had that for years and years and years. It's awesome. I heard that they were doing a brewery in Indiana. I didn't know it was Valpo, and I didn't know it was open. So that's cool.
It's beautiful. It's a very nice facility.
Okay,
Wow,
well,
I was
Jeremy,
gonna
that's
say
your deal.
Yeah, there you go, Jeremy. You got to work on that, and we'll have Ian work on the indie market, and we'll make this happen for you guys. But
tour the Midwest.
yeah,
Love it.
And Great Brown Hope says apparently they have wrestling at dispensaries, which obviously we can't do here, but that is a cool little option too, as well. I know a lot that kind of intersects for sure.
So we actually looked at it when we were doing. This is actually a show. The show never came to fruition. We were looking at doing a show the afternoon of All Out 2022. I think. I think it was the United. No, was that the United Center? No, 2023 it would have been. And we didn't end up doing it. But because back in 22 for Forbidden Door, we did the show the afternoon of Forbidden Door right across the street from the United Center. And we were looking at doing that again in 23 for All Out. We actually talked to a couple dispensaries in Chicago. So Illinois, obviously marijuana is legal and there's dispensaries, but there's a whole bunch of laws around what dispensaries can and can't do, what they can and can't sponsor. The fact that it would have been at a college, like there's laws about dispensaries and education. Like there's all this stuff that just kind of makes a lot of red tape. So I don't know if that's doable. It's definitely not doable in Indiana. I don't know if it's doable in Illinois, but it's something we can look at if the red tape isn't too thick.
It seems like a lot of our listeners want you guys to, travel even further because we got our friend Bill Moss out in Buffalo. He said Buffalo Riverworks, they've ran NXT and ROH there before. There's another option for you.
Bill, I'm going to Google it when we're done tonight. Thank you, sir.
See, that's what we bring. It's not just us. We say for the marks, by the marks. Our chat is just as equal as we are here on this show. We want to get everyone involved.
You guys are bringing people together. Look at this.
That's what we try to do over here. Kind of like what you guys are doing here. But let's take a look at this card. Obviously, this is going to be happening this Sunday in Milwaukee at Lakefront Brewery. But the match I want to talk about here first is a match I'm not too familiar with, at least with the talents involved. We got Joey Jet Avalon taking on Matt Diesel. Now, I may be wrong, Steve, but this is the first time I believe either of these men have competed on one of your shows?
Yep, they're both new to us. We've been fans of them both for a while. I've seen Joey Jet Avalon wrestle many times at Chicago-style wrestling, a couple of times at AAW as well. Same for Matt Diesel, and Matt comes to us from, I believe, Louisville. But he's a usual traveling companion of Myron Reed. And so anytime we've had Myron on a show over the years, we've met Matt. Matt's been there to help, to hang out, to show us what he's doing, show us his matches. And we've watched him kind of grow and progress over the years. And one of the things that I think is so exciting is that we get a lot of folks who reach out to us and want to be on shows, which is a blessing, right? And I watch if a wrestler sends stuff to Warrior Wrestling and they're like, hey, here's my resume, here's my picks, here's a bunch of matches, I will watch at least 2 matches of everybody that sends us stuff. And Matt was one of those guys who sent us stuff a couple years ago, and we watched it. He was good, but he was young, and you just, when you send him some encouragement, hey, keep it up, keep working. And then the more we kept watching him, you watch him get better and better and better and better. And he is really, really good. He's really polished. He's really athletic. And it was time, right? And that's the thing, not to be, I don't mean to sound snobby about it, right? But like when we run shows, we don't do buddy matches on the main card, right? Like, oh, this is so-and-so's buddy, they get a match. Like we believe so strongly in what we want to provide for our paying audience that we want you, the audience member, to only see excellent talent competing with excellent talent in matches that hopefully you haven't seen before. And so we don't put somebody on the card just because they're a buddy or just because they showed up. And we put people on the card when we believe in them, when we can put our stamp in them and say, this guy or this girl's awesome. And like I said, it's been really cool to watch Matt Diesel get stronger and stronger and stronger as a competitor and performer. And now we're like, hell yeah, let's run with him, right? This guy's great. And Joey Jet Avalon has been a beast for years. He's one of those guys. We have a list of guys. Literally, there's an Excel spreadsheet of guys that we have notes and stuff about, guys and girls all throughout the indies. And there's a column in there that is people we need to work with. Like this person is just so awesome. We've got to get them. And it might just, we didn't have the right match or something just didn't line up. Joey Jet Avalon has been on that people we need to work with column for probably a year and a half, 2 years. And this just worked out. It was the right type of match. That match is going to open the show for those that are coming on Sunday. It's going to be the perfect match to open the show. And they were the right opponents for one another. So we always pride ourselves on, if you come to one of our shows, you're going to see some world-class talent that you've heard of, that you're excited to see. And you're also going to see somebody new you might not have heard of and walk away impressed by them. These guys are the latter in that equation, and they're going to kick some ass.
I love that answer, and it seems to be what you guys try to do every time you put together a show. It's kind of like a wrestling buffet. You're going to get all kinds of wrestling on your card, and Joey seems like a guy that I'm going to like, because he's from Green Bay, and he goes by the King of Fuck Mountain, which I don't even know what that means, but I'm intrigued, Steve. I don't know if you even know what that means.
It sounds sticky. I don't know.
But you even talked about Matt Diesel. I saw he was only 24 years old, so you probably had eyes on him when he was only like 20. So the fact that he's 24, getting a spot on this card, I'm very excited to see what these two bring to the table for sure.
Yeah, he earned it, right? Great talent. People are going to love him.
Ian?
Yeah, I just wanted to move on to the next match, and these are two teams that we know a lot about because we know them wholeheartedly in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area. We have Bang and Matthews versus the Latinos Most Wanted. And I just want to mention, so Bang and Matthews are very impressive, entertaining, and the same can be said for the Latinos Most Wanted. Both tag teams have been somewhat of mainstays in the Pro Wrestling Ventures world, so I have to ask you, so both in and out of the ring, what qualities and characteristics, why do you keep bringing these guys back? What makes it so wholeheartedly to you that these are guys that through thick and thin, they are going to be within your Pro Wrestling Ventures world, whether that's inside the ring, outside the ring, and what do you think those qualities could do for them in the future?
Yeah, I think all four of those guys are the total package. Wrestling is about, as people have said 100 times, right? It's finding out who you are and then turning the volume up to 11. And they've each performed, they've had different gimmicks over the years, several of them, and they just kind of settled into figuring out who they are and what makes them click. So if you look at Davey Bang, when Davey first came out of the Freelance Wrestling Academy, he had kind of like an urban cowboy gimmick, and it was kind of like a fun kid, right? He was a kid. And now he is a man. He is an athletic, badass, super polished, developed, cool wrestler. And same with August, right? Like they have just gone from kids who were learning this to men who are very good at this and getting better every match, every week. They're traveling all over with GCW. They're doing indies all around the country. And same thing for Coda and for Sabin. They found a niche together. This Latinos Most Wanted. It's a little bit of an homage to LAX. It's a little bit of a little Filthy Animals for those of you who are old like me, right? Like there's a little bit of a couple of different great teams or great factions in there, but it's got their own spin to it. And they've put their own athleticism, their own smash mouth style. Each of those guys, one after the next, one faced and one is about to face Mike Santana in Freelance. And if you know anything, Santana is a smash mouth, punch you in the face dude. And I think those feuds have been really cool to watch as a fan. So each team has settled into their identity. They've grown as performers. And this is a match like if tomorrow you told me we're going to book a tour of wrestling shows across the United States, I would take this match to every town. Like, again, like old time, very old indie people, like the CM Punk Chris Hero match or the CM Punk Colt Cabana match, long before you could watch what was happening in other towns, promoters heard or some diehard fans heard about this great match, and other promoters and promotions wanted it. I would take Bang and Matthews versus LMW across the country. We had this exact match in Climb Zone in May, and it was so good. When we booked a show out of state, we're like, you know what? Wisconsin has never seen this match. Let's bring this match to Wisconsin because it's so good. I couldn't think of a better tag match to bring to a new market than this tag match.
It's awesome.
It's hard to disagree with you there. If as a person that goes to indie shows very often, it's hard to check out a card in the Midwest and not see Bang and Matthews on it and not see Latinos Most Wanted. That just goes to show you that these guys, they get it. They know what they're doing, and they're going to put on a good show. So that's one of the matches I'm definitely looking forward to seeing. But I know this match might rub some people the wrong way. We got yours rudely, Trevor Outlaw, taking on Zach Hendricks, who also, I believe, Steve, is making his debut, correct?
Yep, absolutely. He's usually a tag guy. His tag partner is injured. Another tag team we've had an eye on for a year and a half or so. He's a Wisconsin guy, kind of a hometown favorite. He's wrestled all over the Badger State and is known pretty well to the Wisconsin fans. And then there's Trevor Outlaw, who is going to, I think, be very proudly from Chicago and representing Chicago when we go up to Milwaukee. And I would imagine he will not get a very warm reception. We don't give him a warm reception in the back of the show.
Shame.
So, yeah, I know, right? Shame. It's what he's deserved. So this, I think, is going to be a match that has a lot of that magic heat. You've got one guy who I don't think anyone in the room is going to like, and one guy who I think everybody in the room is going to love. And sometimes that's the magic of pro wrestling.
It's the bare bones of pro wrestling, I think you could say, honestly.
Yes.
And Trevor Outlaw does it, and I'm going to give the man his credit. He does it better than most do. And I'm not sure if you've noticed, though, lately on your X accounts, I think he might have hacked into it. He seems to be putting out that graphic a lot. I don't even know why I put it on the screen. I'm sorry. I just want to apologize.
Yeah, I mean, they put it on the header. Our social media guy, Henry, frankly, is really sloppy. And I think Trevor took his phone, stole his password or something. So anyway, we got to take that out on Henry. But hopefully Zach Hendricks takes it out on Trevor at the show.
I guess we're going to find out. But going more off of Trevor Outlaw, he's another guy that seems to be spreading his wings as of late. You know, you see him in freelance. I believe he's even being promoted for his GCW debut in Chicago coming up. And I know you guys have, you know, not always got along. I mean, we saw it at Revolution Brewing, but I got to apologize in advance that you got to deal with him. But can you talk to me a little bit about what he's been accomplishing lately? Because it's hard to not notice what Trevor Outlaw has done.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't like him. As you said, in Revolution Brewing, I was the one cheering the loudest when the Murder Hawk monster Lance Archer picked him apart and broke the bones and crushed him into dust. So, yeah, I like to see him get beat up. But it's true, you can't deny, even if I don't like him, he is very accomplished. He has understood that the mental game of pro wrestling is getting under people's skin and finding a way to win. And that's what he does. He gets under the skin of his opponent. He gets under the skin of the fans, the referee, the crowd, the promotion. But he finds a way to win. Podcasters, anybody else.
Yeah.
No one. I don't know anybody that's ever met him and said, "Oh, that's a nice boy." Nobody.
Well, look what Jeremy said. I mean, I'm not going to repeat what Jeremy's saying, but you could see it on the screen. The words speak for themselves.
Yes.
All right.
Well, I'm glad you did bring up the Revolutionary Brewing, because I just want to bring up this fact. We're going to move on to our next match here. We have the Commissar. Is that how you say it, by the way? Commissar?
I think it's Commissar.
Okay, the Commissar Warhorse versus the bad boy Joey Janela. Both, obviously, we know definitely Warhorse's name and obviously Joey Janela's name. And I just got to ask you. So you mentioned it first. The Madman, Lance Archer. We saw him at Revolutionary Brewing. And he absolutely kind of mopped the floor with Trevor Outlaw, which I guess he kind of deserved it. He kind of stepped the line a little bit, but it was a madhouse. So now you have that match absolutely wrecking house of that brewery. And then we come over to this match where we have two absolute madmen going at it in Lakefront Brewery. I just want to ask you, do you have something against breweries? Because I don't think this one's going to be clean.
I love breweries. We got extra insurance in case these guys do anything to this brewery. Yeah, you know, it's a wonderful space. Lots of things to explore all around the beer hall. I have a feeling that even if they try, the referee is not going to be able to keep this in the ring. And you know what? It happens. Everybody who's coming, keep your head on a swivel. You might catch Joey Janela's sunglasses or Warhorse's tooth. We'll see how it goes down.
Yeah, no.
The brewery's on a river. Hopefully they don't end up in the river. I don't know.
Jeez. Yeah. We could get a little flashback to, what was it? Who had the match in the body of water back in the day? Or was
Austin and threw the rock into the river once. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That lived on for decades. So hopefully you guys can recreate that moment, because Joey Janela, in my opinion, has one of the most memorable moments when he jumped off a field goal post through a table onto a man. Like that, what you guys were doing, I know we've talked about it before, but the Stadium Series really was special, what you had going there.
Oh, we loved it. It was a really special time and a really unique way to do wrestling. Yeah, and he took advantage of it, right? That was a no-holds-barred match against Robert Ego Anthony and Frank the Clown. And, so on that match quickly, that final spot was something that no one talked about. Pulling the curtain back a little bit here. No one talked about, but everyone just kind of knew in their bones, like, this is probably how this feud is going to end, right? And then when it happened, everyone was like, oh my God, it actually happened. This is actually what culminated that feud. So, if you've ever been to Lakefront Brewing before in Milwaukee, I will just say, think about the space and think in your bones, oh my God, I wonder if. The answer is maybe yes.
Oh my God.
That's all I'm going to say.
Now that I think about it, you've had so many moments at Marian Catholic with Frank the Clown coming in on a helicopter. And then you had the Matt Cardona-Casey Navarro match finish on top of the stadium with fireworks being lit off in the background by somebody I might know. I'm not pointing any fingers, but just saying. But there are two more matches, Steve, that we got to talk about. This one I think has caught a lot of people's attention, and it's Jordynne Grace versus Kylie Rae. I mean, two of the best wrestlers in the world right now going head-to-head this Sunday, and Jordynne has recently been all over professional wrestling. We talked about it earlier. You could see her on NXT. You see her on Impact. And then you have Kylie Rae, who just became the first ever 3-time freelance world champion. So both of these women are coming in on a hot streak. I don't know really who has the advantage in this match. How do you see this one shaking out between these two women?
I think it's going to be unbelievable. I think the advantage is to the audience. These two have clashed before. It's actually, we had them clash in a show in 2019, I think, January 3rd, 2019, early 2019. And in the ensuing 5, almost 6 years, as you said, Kylie has gone on to be three-time freelance world champion. Jordynne Grace has transformed herself into a powerhouse monster, dominated Impact, been a special guest recurring dominating star in WWE. And this is going to be special. This is if you were to take all the female wrestlers in the world, and there's hundreds, right? And even just hundreds in the main national, international promotions. These are two talents that are in the top 10.
Oh, yeah.
I truly believe that. And some people are like, no. All 10 are in WWE. Also, if pound for pound, athletically, presence, look, vibe, everything about being a wrestler, these two are in the top 10 women in the world. And if you're in Milwaukee, you're coming to this show on Sunday, you're going to see two of the top 10 performers at what they do on earth compete against each other. That's pretty darn cool.
It is really cool. I mean, the whole card itself is enough for me to want to purchase a ticket. But if you're highlighting a match, this is the one that obviously is going to catch a lot of people's eyes. But more people tend to know Jordynne Grace. She's on TV all the time. But Kylie Rae, she has been a staple for you guys throughout the years. I believe she's been with you since day one, correct?
Close. I think it was her second or third show when she came in. But she is one of those people that, if it's what she wanted and it's what fit with her life, she could be WWE or AEW Women's Champion right now, right? Like there are few people in life that have all the tools and the right attitude and the right discipline. And as a performer, she is totally captivating. I still think back to the feud with GPA and Freelance in 2018 or 19. And just, I don't know that I've seen many I don't think I've seen any indie performers become such a hero of a promotion in a way that she did and deliver in the ring in every type of match, athletic matches, brawl matches, etc. And just look at what she's done with us, right? Matches with Jordynne, with Tessa, with Thunder Rosa. She's been everywhere. Sky Blue. And she's just the total package. Like truly, like if Tony Khan's clone brother, Boney Khan, showed up and started WEA and was going to do a whole different organization, and I got to buy or draft people from around the world, Kylie Rae's my first draft pick on the women's roster. And that includes everyone else. She's my first draft pick.
It's going to be an amazing match. Brawl in the beer hall. There we go. I got it. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, but I'll get there. Ian, I think we got one more match to talk about, though.
Yeah, and some would say it's a pretty big one. We have Mustafa Ali taking on Myron Reed. And Steve, I got to say you've outdone yourself again because Pro Wrestling Ventures, they've become pretty key companies, or one of the key companies in this Mustafa Ali World Tour. First it was Ali and Trey Miguel, which we were there live to see, thankfully. And now we are graced to see Ali versus Myron Reed, which also, shout out to Myron and Killer Kelly, on their baby girl, because we wish them all the best. Yep. And what can we, as fans, I know it's kind of a cop-out answer, but I just know it's going to be exciting. What can we expect out of this match? Because we know this is coming. It's getting a little bit on the wrap of the World Tour of Mustafa Ali, which obviously going to be off and keep going off on this World Tour that he's been having and keep going up in stock. But what could we see more out of Myron Reed? Does he have something to prove against this Mustafa Ali?
Yes, absolutely. I think Myron Reed is trying to prove to the whole world that the big international brands have been sleeping on him. I have no idea why Myron Reed wasn't in the Best of the Super Juniors. I have no idea why Myron Reed isn't on Collision on Saturday nights. I have no idea why he isn't in NXT facing his former Rascals mate, Dez or whatever Dez's name is in NXT, Wes Lee,
yeah, Wes. Yeah,
right? Like Myron is so good. He fought Speedball Mike Bailey at our last show at the Climb Zone, and it was unreal, right? Myron's speed, his timing, his quickness, his flying, his striking, his physique, his presence, his aura, his look. Nobody looks like Myron Reed, right? You see the gear, he's got a very distinct look. You see the moves, he's got a very distinct way of moving. And he's got the height, he's got the strength. Like, what are all of the international companies doing? Like, sign him tomorrow. Well, don't sign him tomorrow. We need him on Sunday. Sign him on Monday, right? It blows my mind. So I think he's got something to prove, as he does every time he goes out, that the world is sleeping on one of the best. And same thing with Mustafa Ali, right? Getting released from WWE and being able to embody himself fully on this world tour. He is one of the best. Again, I come back to this concept, and I use it often, but I don't do it facetiously, of a draft. If I could pick anybody, Ali is one of the first handful of guys I pick. You talk total package. He passes the airport test, right? Dude walks in, looks like a star. Dude wrestles. He wrestles in a way that would put him at the top of AEW, and he looks in a way that would put him at the top of WWE. He's got every angle of what it needs to be a wrestler. And we are lucky that he's on this world tour and working with people like us, because it's so cool to have somebody who's great at what they do in your ring. First time ever, these two really, really good performers. Obviously, it's main event, and it should be, because what's going to follow it?
That's a good point. I don't know what could follow that, Ian.
No, there's not a lot. I mean, I guess whatever the main event of the next show would be. That's going to be my cop-out answer.
Another guy that's friends with the Pro Wrestling Ventures universe, Jordan Kamer in the house. He asked, OTM, who would be your number one pick? Are we talking men's talent?
Do both.
Boy.
Tell them both.
Are we going off the indie scale here? Like who I would scoop up? Is that the question here?
Let's do that. Let's do both. Let's start with it. Let's do real quick around the horn, and then I got to go in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Real quick, all three of us around the horn. Let's go unsigned.
Unsigned.
You inherit $100 million and start a new national wrestling company. Man and woman, who do you choose off the indies? And then you inherit an extra $100 million. You could buy anybody from the big companies. Who do you buy? Go for it.
Shit.
Oh, boy.
It might be a cop-out answer because they're on your show, but Myron Reed is a name that I've had my eyes on for a while. I share the same sentiments, but I think he should definitely be on TV right now. He's well past due. He puts on great matches with everyone, so that would definitely be my answer. And probably, once again, another cop-out, Kylie Ray. But Kylie's from the Chicago area. I get to spend so much time with her, and she is the best, like literally the best. Steve said it all. There were some other good names out there in like GCW. I was a big fan of Sawyer Wreck, but she unfortunately had to retire. So best of luck to her in her future. But that probably would have been another name that I would have signed, Ian.
Okay, so this might be a little bit of a cop-out answer. Not on the show, but it would probably be Matt Cardona. I think hands down he is probably... I mean, it's his whole entire personality. He is the king of indies, but it's up for debate. For women's, I hate that you took Kylie Ray, and I'm not going to change my answer because that would 100% be my answer. We didn't say we were actually drafting.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, Kylie, Ian knows. Kylie's always been my number one on the Indies. She's the best. Steve, you got something for her?
Yeah, so again, you guys drafted them. They're off the board. The women's pick, interesting. I think I might say Janai Kai, if we don't count MLW as signed, which I don't count MLW as signed. I'd say Janai Kai because she's got the athleticism, the look, the vibe, the character, the gimmick, the whole thing. We've worked with her a couple of times. She's great. So if Kylie's off the board, I'd say Janai Kai. Although there's a lot of great options out there, right? Missa Kate is incredible. She'd be up there.
Why didn't we say that? Oh, sorry, Steve. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we've had Missa on the show and we didn't say Missa Kate, so.
Well, you only had one pick, and your one pick would be. I mean, my one pick would be Kylie too, right? If I had a first round draft. No offense to everybody else, right? I just think Kylie's like drafting Caleb Williams. Hopefully, she doesn't go to a terrible team. So I think Janai Kai is one that pops out to me. And on the men's side, so you guys said Myron and who'd you say? Oh, Cardona. I feel like it's kind of a cop out too, but I would say Ali. Right, like the fact that Ali, he's not signed anywhere. He had a run on Impact, but he's not signed to Impact. He's not signed anywhere. I think Ali, right? Like I still, it flummoxes me that they opted to release him. And I know why. I know like the internal baseball about contracts and where they were cutting and why they cut him and certain other guys. But still, like I would build a show around him.
Yeah.
That's completely kind of what they were trying to do with Retribution, but let's be honest, the creative for that faction just was never setting them up to succeed, and it wasn't any indication that all those members weren't good enough because we know how talented those members.
It was just literally a and I can say this right because he's never going to yell at me or listen to our podcast, but like that was Vince McMahon's worst 2018, 19, 20, 21 WWE was unwatchable. Like, and I have a whole lot of opinions about AEW and WWE about what they do well and what they do poorly. But like, if you're like 2019 WWE was great, you need to be in an institution.
Yeah, no, it was not.
Because like, even for the biggest homer in the world, no, like 1920 WWE, I think it was 20 that obviously because of the pandemic for Retribution. Yeah. But like, it was a declining person doing their worst as creative with no incentive to do any good. And it was just a huge mess. So anyway, that's a whole different thing. I got to jet in a minute. Anything else you guys want to talk about before the show, before I run?
No, just want to get some information about the show. Let them know where you can find you and if there's any tickets left available for it.
There are 4 scattered tickets remaining. I just checked before we get logged on here if they didn't sell out already. 4. So, yeah. So at Pro Wrestling Ventures on Twitter and Instagram. You can go to Lakefront Brewery in just Google Lakefront Brewery, or I think it's lakefrontbrewery.com. They've got a link on their site as well to the tickets. We are in Milwaukee this Sunday, the 10th of November. As we just ran down, it's going to be a great show. I'm really looking forward to it. Not only do I like these shows as a promoter and as a booker, yada, 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 but just as a fan, right? I love to be there, and it's not like I do the incredible things in the ring. They do. You and you go, and then I get to watch it. So I'm excited to be in the room watching this great wrestling show.
And I do have one quick question too. You had in the past, you've put some matches on YouTube. Will that still be the case with the show? That's still the plan?
That's the game plan. We're doing a lot of guerrilla photography, both photos and video. And so I don't know that we'll have all the matches complete for YouTube, but whatever is complete, we'll post-produce and get it out so folks can watch it.
Perfect.
You definitely watch it, guys. We're going to send it out on our socials. So follow Pro Wrestling Ventures on X, Instagram. Like Steve was saying, you see the handle on the screen, and at Pot on the Mark is where you can find us. Steve, I hope to see you on Sunday. It's going to be a last-minute decision for me, so maybe you'll see me, maybe not, but it is always a pleasure to get here and sit down and talk to you about the great stuff that you were doing over there, my friend. So hopefully we can get you back on. Maybe you even talked about it, and we can talk about the WWE and AEW and how things have been looking so far. So
you tell me when and where. Geeking out about wrestling is what I do. Yes. So just let me know, guys.
Yeah, all right. We definitely will be in touch, my friend. So, Steve, thanks again for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time.
Sounds good, guys. Take care.
See you, man. Always a pleasure. What a guy.
Such a good dude. I genuinely could sit down for 2, 3, 4 hours and just talk wrestling. Just talk smack. Oh, that's so fun.
Good job, Great Brown Hope. And do what the Great Brown Hope just did. Follow Pro Wrestling Ventures. This show will be happening this Sunday at 7 p.m. Like Steve said, it will not be broadcasted live, but stay tuned. They're going to have a lot of people, capturing tape. So this will be put onto YouTube probably a couple weeks after the show. But if I am there, I for sure will be live tweeting it. I'll be sending out pictures. So make sure you're following us on all of the socials if you want to get involved with Pro Wrestling Ventures. Ian, we definitely need to bring him on just to talk wrestling and not even about his company.
I didn't want to bring that up at the end. I was going to say, Steve, you could always join and just talk about wrestling.
He literally could be our co-host.
Oh, it would be so fun. If you kick me off, I totally understand. For Steve.
I would never kick you off, my friend. And I would never kick off Jim Tucker, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us. But hopefully Tucky will be back next week. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up, a lot of pay-per-views, a lot of PLEs that we're going to be talking about. So like I've said before, at Pot on the Mark, so you could keep up with us on all the socials. But Ian, I didn't put it in the private chat because
don't need it.
I think we might be on the same page here. There was some competition for the Great Brown Hope today. And, it was back and forth throughout, but I think I have to give the slight edge to an new MVM of the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, Mr. Hot Sauce, Bill Moss.
See, we were on the same page there. Saw the twinkle in your eyes, and I saw a little hot sauce in there. So, congratulations, Bill Moss, and welcome back. This is actually his first episode back in, I think, a couple weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah. Always a pleasure having him in the chat.
Yeah, and if you guys are interested in us having more conversations with people in the independent wrestling scene, let us know. That's something we can definitely venture into. See what I did there? That you could tell this podcast has been going on forever because I just start losing my mind at the end of every podcast. A couple more comments. Bill Moss clapping it up. Always a pleasure, Bill. Yes, it definitely is. The chat was lively tonight. A lot of the main event crew in the chat. And, of course, our good friend, referee Jeremy Tillema, who will be there for Pro Wrestling Ventures. So if you were going to that show, say hi and tell him that OTM said hi as well, because Ian's definitely not going to be there.
No. Yeah, I will be in Terre Haute. Nope, that's Sunday. I will be in Indy.
Sunday night. Yeah.
From Terre Haute. So I'm going to be probably falling asleep about ring bell time.
Ian, before we go, tell them a little bit about the Main Event Wrestling Network.
Main Event Wrestling Network, we're still pounding out content, and we are still looking for more content producers. So if you are a writer, if you are a video producer, if you like podcasts, if you do podcasts, if you draw paintings, if you record songs, if you do slam poetry, if you do crossword puzzles, throw it in there. Throw your name in the hat. We at the Main Event Wrestling Network accept everything as long as it's the love of wrestling.
Also,
reach
don't
out.
be a dick,
Yeah, well, that helps. Unless
don't
you're
be
me,
an asshole, don't be misogynist, don't be a racist, and we'll get along just fine.
Yeah.
There's some parameters to this. You can't just get into the Main Event Wrestling Network by being an asshole. I mean, I'm an asshole, but I'm a nice asshole. There's a difference.
We'll move on.
OnTheMarkWrestlingPodcast.com. That is a great way to support the podcast. So check out all the great merch we have available. And also, don't forget to follow our friends over at Pro Wrestling Ventures. Their show happening this Sunday, Brawl in the Beer Hall at Lakefront Brewery in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, happening at 7 p.m. Central. I believe 4 tickets are still available. So if you're listening right now is the time to buy.
Go. If you can go, because they do not disappoint with their live shows. And that's not us sucking up. It is. We've been to a lot of Warrior/Pro Wrestling Ventures shows. They don't hold back. It's not a typical indies 10 people there. It's a blast. So if you can make it, if you can make that drive, and you like beer like me, and have a few brewskis, you'll have a blast.
I wonder if they intentionally booked this show on the bye week for Green Bay, just because they knew people in Wisconsin probably wouldn't show up. I think they probably did.
Honestly, probably. They're big football guys.
Yeah, it's a football state for sure. It's a lot of things, and it's definitely a wrestling state, and it's definitely an alcohol state. The 15 drunkest in the top 20 counties in America are in Wisconsin. Fun fact for you there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 15 out of 20, I said. Yes, that wasn't a mistake.
That's impressive. Congrats to them.
They like to drink. So if I end up going, say hi to Mr. OTM. I might be wearing this shirt. I'll probably be wearing OTM merch. you can wear some too if you go to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.com. But thank you all for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling
Podcast.